I personally like a good spirited fight. Not a fight for ridiculous reasons like this guy steps on this guy's shoe, but a fight when someone is being mistreated or something is just outright wrong and people begin to stand up for themselves and get somewhat of a backbone. I love that. The turn of the worm. Amazon is a multi-billion-dollar company. Amazon paid no taxes despite being a multi-billion-dollar company. It is my wife has an Amazon fetish. I'll be honest. I'll say it. She has an Amazon thing. She has a thing for Amazon. Yesterday, she called in order to get a Kindle and got it here within the course of a day or two. I think it was one day. No one ever really thinks about what takes place to get from point A, wherever that is, to point B, wherever you are, and to transport that thing to where you are. The logistical concerns probably have to be immense. But between those 2 points, there is labor. There is somebody that pulls that particular item. There's somebody that drags that item from point A to point B and it puts that item into a particular box and gets that item to you at your door within the course of a day. There is labor between those two things. From a standpoint of a corporation, two main drives. First, the main drive is to maximize profit, but they do this in two main ways. To get down the production costs, meaning the cost it takes to do certain things or to get a certain particular process, but also the cost of labor. Now, the interesting part from the standpoint of Amazon, I would imagine, just like Uber and Lyft, that if they have their way, they would have a robot doing a particular task over and over and over again in order to replicate whatever it is they're making. It's like if you're making widgets, if you can get something to make the widget faster, you're better off making the widget faster. Well, in this particular case, you have human beings. You don't necessarily have a robot that can essentially take over the functions of that. Because understand, if you had a robot, you could just leave it there and just let that thing make you buck. But from the standpoint of human beings, you need that person, that human being, to replicate a function over and over and over and over and over again. And you need them to do it with precision. From your standpoint as a corporation, you want to maximize your profit and you want that person to be able to do that particular task, and you want them to be able to do it for the least amount that you can pay them for it, because that's the way you become a multi-billion-dollar company. The catch of the matter is, though, in reality, human beings get blue, human beings have bad days, sometimes they have stomach ailments, sometimes they have diarrhea. It's all sorts of things. Sometimes they miss their girlfriend or miss their wife. There are all sorts of things that human beings are that are not robotic-like. And those are the things that adversely affect the profits of those particular corporations. In this case, we're talking about Amazon moving an item from point A to point B within the course of a day and what it takes to get that item from point A to point B within the context of a day. There are human beings between those things. And those human beings are saying that they are being mistreated. Roundly so. It was only recently where they upped the pay for $15 an hour, at least to many of the workers there. But even in doing that, they cut back on other things in order to try to make that balance out. But more than anything else, the mistreatment of the workers. The workers saying, I'm not a robot. That, the way they prevent them from having to go to the bathroom and all sorts of stuff. I'm going to read some of the quotes on this. The people are fighting back and are trying to unionize, and they're trying to unionize under the Whole Foods thing and under the Amazon thing itself. Good. Amazon is hundreds of thousands of workers, and under that model that they seem to break employees, that needs to change. The people who are working at Amazon are human beings, and the human element needs to be respected. Let's take a look at some of the quotes in this. But good on them for unionizing, or trying to anyway. We are not robots. Amazon warehouse employees push to unionize. Workers announce launch of union push in response to working conditions as the company says it does not recognize allegations. We're unaware of the allegations to which you are talking about. I love that. We have no idea that this was taking place. Amazon's global workforce reached more than 613,000 employees worldwide, according to its latest quarterly earnings report, not including the 100,000 temporary employees that the company hired for the holiday season. Just a few months after Amazon opened its New York-based fulfillment center in Staten Island, workers announced on the 12th of December that they launched for a union push with the help of retail wholesale department store union. Amazon is a very big company. They need to have a union put in place. And by the way, it makes all the sense in the world for the top executives of the company. If their wealth is maximized within stock price and everything else, why wouldn't they drive employees into the ground? Why wouldn't they push it as far as they can push it? Particularly if they're getting some kind of financial incentive out of doing so. They will do and go in the direction of profit. Why wouldn't they? It is their responsibility to do such. From the standpoint of the workers, they have a different responsibility. Their responsibility is to themselves and to push for greater agency and less vulnerability in the capacity of their jobs. This is where worker co-ops become a better idea. This conflict between the worker and the employer and employee is built into the model, is built into the process itself. You can hope for an ethical employer, but even an ethical employer is going to want a certain share of the pie that may run roughshod over the workers themselves. This model is problematic, and this model creates a conflict, as opposed to the worker co-op model, where the workers themselves own the company and own the means of production. Let's take a look at this, though. They overwork you, and you're like a number to them. During peak season and prime season, they give you 60 hours a week. In July, I had prime week and worked 60 hours. The same day I worked overtime, I got into a bad car accident because I was falling asleep behind the wheel. Other employees cited working conditions as one of the prevailing factors for wanting to form a union. I support the effort. They have been more supportive towards their employees. They have to be more supportive to their employees. No, they don't. Not without incentive, said another Amazon employee in Staten Island. Right now at the fulfillment center, if an employee is a picker, they want that person to pick 400 items per hour, picking each item every 7 seconds. Like I said, they want to be robots. They noted that to keep up with the hourly rate, workers cannot take bathroom breaks, or they risk time off task points that could be used to justify a termination. That's amazing. We're not robots, we're human beings. We cannot come into work after only 4 hours of sleep and be expected to fully energized and ready for work. That's impossible, said Long. I feel like all the company cares about is getting the products out to the customers as quickly as humanly possible, no matter what that means for us in the end. Yes, that is absolutely true. Why wouldn't it be? Understand what I'm saying? This is a cynical view of things, but why wouldn't it be? You have a corporation where the people who are up at the top are far removed from the people at the bottom. This is just like, people, senators and representatives can make choices that says, yes, we're going to support the military as it goes and bombs and kills other people, because it's not in the areas where the people are being killed and bombed. You have a separation of objectives. And in one particular part, this person maximizing his profit off of the back and the sweat of the people at the bottom. Yes, it makes all the sense in the world for that person to behave that way, especially if they're craven and if their goal is just profit. They're going to take it out of your hide. And that's exactly what they're doing. It is for the workers themselves to create some level of organization in order to defend themselves and protect themselves from this. The company itself is not going to protect you. They have no incentive to. So let's keep going. If you get injured, they don't treat you well. They don't care, said 24-year-old Hibab Mohammed, who has worked at the Shakopee facility for over 2 years. She said that every 2 or 3 months, Amazon increases hourly productivity rates workers must meet to keep their jobs. During the summertime, we don't get AC. In the wintertime, we don't get enough heat. We want to change the imbalance in Amazon. Essentially, we are being mistreated. A lot of workers aren't comfortable going to managers, and it has a lot to do with rate. There's an obsession with rates at a sign. The rate people have to make every single hour. Every hour is mentioned, and if a person isn't doing well, the manager will pick on them. Sometimes you can hear it from different departments. Amazon said they didn't recognize these allegations. We're unaware that people have these experiences. Amazon fulfillment centers aren't the only part of Amazon where workers started organizing efforts in 2018. The online retail giant bought Whole Foods in August 2017 for $13.7 billion. A little over a year later, workers launched Whole Worker, a unionizing effort in response to changes made by Amazon since the acquisition. Shortly after the group announced its founding, an employee leaked an Amazon training video where managers were taught how to discourage labor union efforts. Again, of course. Like, why wouldn't they do that? Like, let's be honest. I mean, I guess sometimes there's this golly gee of, hey, that guy is doing things that makes him more money. Yes, that guy is. The problem that bugs people is at the expense of human beings. But I'm making a point that you are in a capitalistic space where the goal is profit, and when those people are separated in incomes and you can say status from the people at the bottom, those people at the bottom become mules for all intents and purposes, and the goal of this is to maximize their profit. They're doing so at the expense of those workers. I'm saying, of course they're going to do that. That makes all the sense in the world for them to do that. Just saying. Yes, that's somewhat of a cynical view of politics, but I am not wrong on this. This is exactly what is taking place. This is what they're describing. It's like, if a company is going to lose revenue for itself, particularly the people at the top, when you form a labor union, would it be in their disinterest to stop, to get them from, will it be in the interest of the company to prevent them from forming a union? Yes. It would be in the complete interest of the company to stop them from forming that union. Of course it would be in their interest, and of course they will put that in their training manual. Of course they will work the people like mules, especially if it maximizes their profit. And yes, of course they're going to treat the people like robots, because all things being equal, they will prefer those people to be robots. All of these are, of course, absolutely, of course. Good on those people for forming that union. Godspeed to them on that. Godspeed. Wish them all the luck in the world. I'll follow the story. I don't necessarily know where they've gone to with this or the success or failure of this, but this will be one of the stories that I will be following. So, all right, guys. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through PayPal or Patreon. Thanks all.